guys, so today I'm reviewing the Beaphar Reptile vitamins and minerals. I'd like to let you guys know that Beaphar did send me this item for the purpose of reviewing. This was my first reaction to the product. Oh, it comes with a spoon! Yeah, as you can probably tell, I am easily pleased by a free spoon. Now, the first thing I wanted to check was what vitamins and minerals it included compared to a different powder I use. So I compared the two, and as you can see, it pretty much matches up with most things. There are a few little differences though. So let's say powder A said it included vitamin K, whereas Beaphar says it includes vitamin K3. I looked this up, and K3 is just one of the 3 basic types of vitamin K, so it's like the same thing, just more specific. Next, it didn't include nicotinic acid. However, I looked this up and the acid is just to form a niacin, so that means powder A pretty much put the same thing down twice. A similar thing happened with cobalt, aka CO. So cobalt is actually a component of vitamin B12, and vitamin B12 is actually called cobalamin. So once again, powder A pretty much just doubled up its ingredients. The Beaphar powder also didn't include sodium. Now, I did look this up, but all that came up was about aquatic reptiles like marine iguanas and turtles and how they need to excrete salt, so I don't really know how important this is to other reptiles. The other thing I did notice is on their website it does say the Beaphar powder contains phosphorus, and for my leopard geckos I don't really want any more phosphorus because their live food contains more than enough, so that is a little bit annoying. I opened the tub up and I was quite surprised that the powder only filled half of the tub, but me being me, I checked all the weight, so the tub alone weighed about 28 grams, so despite it being filled halfway, you still get your 100 grams worth of powder. So now onto how much powder to use. So obviously they supply you with a spoon, which is handy, but it has 2 different measurements on it, and the packaging doesn't actually specify how much you're meant to use. But to be fair, I have other powders that say you're only meant to use like a pinch of powder and like blow it onto 20 to 25 crickets, and I've never done that and my geckos are totally fine. So I tipped a spoonful of the Beaphar powder in a plastic bag because this is how I dust my crickets. Now on the back of the tub it does say you should moisten. Is that a word, moisten? Ugh, don't you just hate that word anyway? Moisten, ugh. Anyway, you should do that to the feeder insects beforehand, but I didn't because literally on a general day, right, I've got 4 leopard geckos, I've got to feed them 30 odd crickets, I'm not going to go around putting a little bit of water on each of them to make sure the powder gets stuck. Let's face it, I'm not going to do it. So for this particular experiment of the powder, I didn't do it. And actually, the powder stuck really well and it was really even. It didn't clump because sometimes with the vitamin powders, calcium usually sticks really well to the crickets, but I find that some vitamin powders really don't stick to the crickets very well, and this stuck perfect, so I was very happy with that. Gizmo was the first to try out the crickets, but let's call her the destroyer since she is eating everything recently to gain her weight back. She did eat 1 cricket. However, she wasn't too interested in the rest of them at first, but I think that's because I had a bright light shining into her tank and a camera, and that can put her off. And later on, I have to say, she did carry on hunting and ate all the other crickets. Next, the beast, Diego. Literally, he will eat anything you put in front of him. Once again, he did only eat 1, but I do think he was put off by the light and the camera, but he did go on to eat the rest of them later on. Now onto the perfectionist, Ziggy. She will see her prey, but make sure she's like perfectly positioned to catch it, even if it takes a while. She's just going to get it perfect. She actually ate one of these on camera, but trust me, when I was feeding Minnie, she carried on hunting and chasing after them, so that was a much better response from Ziggy. And finally, Miss Dichotomous. So this is Minnie, and she'll either absolutely love the food you give her or absolutely hate it. She'll sit and eat everything you put in front of her with a little help from me because she does have a dodgy eye. She's had it since she was like a hatchling. So she'll either like sit there and eat it all, or like one day she'll just sniff it or look at it and just turn her nose up at it. So no, not eating it. Not even a chance. So you never really know where you're going to stand with her. So this is definitely the ultimate test. She ended up eating all 8 dusted crickets. It was amazing. So that's 5 stars from her, and I was really surprised with that result. So a quick heads up, if you're using a new powder, even if it's simply a different brand, don't be too worried if your gecko's poop looks a little bit different. Sometimes there'll be like a really big urinate part on the poop, or it'll just look a little bit odd and you'll be a bit worried, but don't be, because this can happen when you just change the powder. It can be a little shock to the system, nothing really bad, but just alters the stomach a little bit, just for a short period of time. After a day or two of using the powder, back to normal, so don't worry about that. Anyway, I was happy to see that after feeding about 32 crickets, RIP crickets, sorry about that, but you know, giving life to my geckos, respect. I don't know what's happening in this video, but anyway, I actually had loads and loads of powder left in the bag afterwards from just 1 spoonful, so that was really good. So yeah, I like this product, and my geckos ended up eating all their crickets. We had powder left. One thing I did notice though, that this particular one I have runs out like in less than a week, and my leopard geckos do not have vitamin powder that often because they're adults. They probably get it every 3 or 4 feeds. That means they probably get it every 9 or 12 days. So that really sucks, but I do notice this with vitamin powders, like their expiry date's really short, and I don't know if I've just been a bit unlucky and got like one with a short expiry date, but check that. If you're in a shop, check that out. Also though, a lot of vitamin powders are very expensive. I've actually had to pay like £15 for one, whereas this one in shop and online it's about £5 to £6 that I've seen. So that's actually pretty good for a 100-gram tub of vitamins. My only concern really is the added phosphorus. Now obviously if you've seen my other videos you'll know why I'm a bit iffy about that, specifically for leopard geckos, because they need a very low calcium phosphorus ratio. But obviously other reptiles that varies, so maybe the added phosphorus would be good for them. Anyway, it's cheap, it does its job, it doesn't smell odd, which sounds random, but sometimes you can get vitamin powder that smells really strong and it actually puts your geckos off of their food, which is really annoying. So this one actually doesn't smell that bad. And also what's important is my geckos seem to like it, and it does include the vitamins and minerals they need. I hope this video has helped, and thank you very much for watching.